but I stole from a lot of my friends' education. so one of my friends went to NYU, and then he went to Juilliard. I didn't get into Juilliard. I tried 3 times, So I was like, fine. What they saying in there? And he's like, Marsha Norman says, when you write a play, you just gotta have a vision, and then you have a vision of the end before you start writing so that you can get yourself out of the block. And I was like, I always have a vision of the end. Thanks, Marsha Norman. I didn't pay for that education. You know what I mean? Listen, I have a friend right now that's at USC. I'm like, you learning some film stuff? All right, give me your notes. I will read your notes, I have piecemeal my way to honorary PhD. I want to know I want to know where their center is, I want to know what is like the moral compass of this generation. And I want to know like what are the tools that will help them to hear and open up to another generation, whether it's one that's below or above, not above in like status, but like just before, so maybe before and after. I would like to know like if there's a connect and if there's an acknowledgement of a disconnect, what they see, what this generation sees as the bomb. That's what I'd like to know. Easy stuff.
So, hi, I'm Samna. This is a long-winded thing, so I wrote it down for myself. So I, too, share that mission of doing this whole art thing to illuminate dark corners and cause social change and disrupting complacency. And I'm personally really heavily inspired by leftist artists like Augusto Boal and Susan Roy Parks. But do you personally find that it's more effective to accomplish your goals through something more underground, local, grassroots, small scale, like the wall, or something very experimental, or through something that's more broad stream and consumed by the masses, that you get the playbill like Susan Roy Parks. And I know it's a very personal thing, it varies, and you can have different projects that are both. But if the goal really is to make a disruption, does it really happen when you're kind of within this echo chamber of like, let me put on a show at the public, and then of course the people who come to watch are people who are like-minded. So sometimes I feel like I might get stuck in that echo chamber of just, putting stuff out there that's only being consumed and received by people who didn't need to hear it in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So one, I'll say I would not assume that audience at the public is like-minded. I would say that first. This is me having worked at the public. I would also, I wouldn't underestimate who needs to hear what, right? At any place and time. I know this is the artist question, like, will I make an impact if it's 5 people in the room? Do you feel good about the impact you're gonna make with 5 people in the room, right? I'm fighting with the theater right now. Like, why are there empty butts in these seats? Like, I don't understand. These are sold seats. And like, but I can't resell them? These are your subscribers that bought this like 5 months ago. And now they're like, oh, George, I don't want to go to, New York tonight. You know what I mean? And now they took a seat. They took a seat away from people, And I'm like, can I put some people in this seat? And so I'm arguing about that right now because I'm like, this is a policy that's been driving me crazy in theater for like 10 years. And I've disrupted that policy a few times, I'm not gonna say, what theaters and how, but I've definitely disrupted it. I'm like, let me get to know this house manager right now. Because like we need to do something because I can't, because then I go, does it matter when you can't resell a seat and you don't want to give somebody else a seat? Then what's more important to this institution? That these tickets are paid for or that people are receiving the arts? Because I am here for the people to receive the arts. I'm not here to talk to an empty seat, right? That is also not necessarily meaning that who's in that room, if it's 20 people that came that night, that those 20 people didn't need what's on that stage, you know? But I think the Augusta Wall, which I studied, that was creative arts team, was theater of the oppressed. That was our motto. And so, so learning the impact of Augusta Wall style work, I've been in classrooms with 5 students. Yeah. Changed my life. And hopefully maybe theirs, right? And so I don't know. I've taught. I mean, some of the work I did in New York public studies high schools would be the most important work I ever did in my life. Even though I had that moment where I don't want to, it's not what I came to do. It might not be what I came to do, it's what I needed to do and it needed me. And I would not be the artist I am without that work. I would not have ever written Pipeline without that work. Like I just would never have written it. So I just, I don't know. I think life is about ebb and flow, actually. That's what I think I've gotten to as an artist. I'm going to take the mic wherever I can get the mic. And if you give me the mic at the amphitheater, I'm going to take it. And if you give me the mic, in the little town square, I'm going to take it. And if you give me the mic in the little, closet, I'm going to take the mic wherever I can get the mic. Because I'm not getting, look, I wrote on a show. I remember, folks on television, and those would be like, 60 million viewers are watching, or 5 million viewers, or 2 million viewers. I can't feel none of them viewers. I feel them 5 people in that room. The only time I'm feeling them shameless watchers, and I block them, is I see somebody with the name Gallagher, I'm going the other way. I'm like, why do they have Gallagher in there? Because that's the family name on Shameless. And if I see Gallagher, I'm like, that is a shameless head, and I'm out. Because they count him. How do you know who all these writers are? I never knew who was writing the shows on TV. I mean, they come for you. Great job, storyline, Dominique. Terrible job, Dominique. She doesn't read this. She read the scene. It's like crazy. And so, but I say all that to say that's the only way I'm gonna interface with my audience on TV is if I'm tweeting with them, and that's not a genuine connection. And this is like a 12-year-old, telling me I wrote a bad episode right now. I'm like, what am I doing? I don't even know who this person is. I'm getting catfished out here. I don't know what's happening. I only know what's happening when I'm in the room with somebody. That's the truth I can that I can trust. And so, I don't know. It's like every level, I guess. And every level is an ebb and flow. I also feel like when you do something like I've done it, I've been on Broadway. And I've been in the black box. I prefer the black box. I do. I just prefer a full black box with a lot of energy, but I prefer that. I mean, it'd be great to have a full Broadway with a lot of energy, right? That happens, but in a different way. It's not as intimate, so it's like, but I say that to not say that I'm not trying, like we're gonna try to get Soul Train on Broadway, right? That's the goal of that. Most musicals, the goal is Broadway because they just cost too much to not put them up somewhere really big, right? But the impact I feel like I have is always, I'll take whatever impact I can get. And I feel like it's not my job, and this is the ego work I'm needing to do all the damn time. But I'm feeling like it's not my job to control at any way, shape, or form who gets that message. I mean, it is my job to make sure the people I'm writing about have access to the stories I'm telling. But it's not my job to decide how they are impacted by it and how many of them should see it to be impacted, I don't know. That's change everywhere, right? One ripple, butterfly effect type shit.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Sydney. I just graduated from NYU this past May.
Awesome. Congrats.
Thank you.
Yes.
Congrats to all the graduates in the room.
Yes.
My question is, as a writer who is also very sensitive about her own shit, how do you find directors that align with your vision, and how do you give up your baby, as a writer, being open to the interpretations and communicating, appropriately, but still making sure that the vision, the idea that you had is coming across,
Yeah, I mean, so I remember I had a friend who would go crazy, like when every little part of her play just was not being served. And that's on a premiere. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not a little bit like that, but I'm not crazy, right? But like but I do feel like, and I remember having to talk to that friend and going, um, you know, you are the play's mother, but you're not his master. So you got to let your child get influenced by some other people out there. And mommyhood teaches me that more than anything, because I have a child right now who gives 0 fucks at the age of 3. I mean, like at the age of 3, I'm like, this is not we're gonna have problems. He will not be controlled. It's like, it's a lot of, it's also like, I mean, it's so many like opinions. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm not gonna be able to tell this kid what to do. So that is gonna be my lesson in my life right now. I'm not gonna be able to tell. I knew it at the age of 0. I was like, ooh, he not let me put this diaper on. I'm not gonna be able to do it. This is gonna happen for the rest of my life, and this child is not gonna be with it. And so how do I mother a child that wants to do his own thing? I'm gonna have to learn control. So I can influence. I'm gonna talk to directors and see the things that I know I care the most about. I'm gonna make sure we're in alignment. When I was doing Detroit 67 at the Public with Kwame, and he was like the hot director from London, but like that was artistic director at Baltimore Center Stage, and I remember like, okay, so I'm being put with him with the Public, but I've already heard friends who knew him was like, yo, he's that's your boy, and so I was like, okay. All right, let me talk to him. And I remember I was like, I got to be able to ask him certain kind of questions to know like who I'm rocking with, And I remember asking him, it's like a roundaway question. I was like, so Kwame, I know you're in the UK and blah 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 blah. And, so I'm wondering, because I know that the UK has a lot of we get a lot of stories, we see a lot of things about Detroit here, but I don't know, does it have that kind of access in the UK, or like what access point do you think you'll have into the process? And he goes, hold on, I'm going to get a coffee. He goes to get a coffee. He comes back, and he goes, Dominique, that was a very polite question. That was a very polite way of asking me, what the fuck do you know about Detroit? And I was like, well, what the fuck do you know about Detroit? And, he starts to, not as much as you, and I had to like, allow that to be, and every director I've had, I mean, I work with Ruben Santiago Hudson a lot. There is not one production me and Ruben ain't fought on. It's like, and someone was like, then I have to do it, I'm walking out. I mean, like, it's never been one, and that is my brother. But I have, like, it's never been one production we have not, like, had one, it's gonna hit, and when Skeleton Crew happened on Broadway, I was like, we already did this one, so we good. We already did this play. We know this. I ain't even gonna bother them. Just do what you gotta do to play. We know we know what we doing. And then it got to like tech, like late in tech, like right before previews, which lasted forever because it was COVID. And it was like, he was like, hey, Dominique, come look at these props. They want to look at the signs they're making for the thing. I was like, oh yeah, I need the writing to be bigger. And that was our argument. No, it's gonna be too obnoxious. Big. I can't see that in the back of the theater. I need it to be bigger. Now it's gonna look like you talk. I mean, we have an argument, and my agent remembered this the other day. He's like, yeah, I remember that argument you and Ruben had. I just started walking away. I was like, that was just dumb. Like, why aren't you giving me this? You know what I mean? But like, it was just because creatively, I realized I have a lot of energy and opinion, and so I like to rock with people that aren't scared of that energy. The director I have now, she's not scared of it at all. She was about to cut something the other day out of tech, and she was about to try something different, and I was like, okay, so what note is this? Is this the theater's note, or was this your note? And she goes, I don't know, I was just gonna try this because, just in case it wasn't working. I said, it's working. You about to kill your own shit. Don't do that. This is my favorite transition. Yeah, she's like, are you serious? I was like, yeah. I was like, this is where you was doing something that you said you wanted to do, that you said you've seen this done 100 times, you want to do it differently? This is the way you just did it differently. And she's like, and she got on the mic, she was like, oh, never mind, we're not going to run that. I was a little insecure about something, but I'm going to change my mind. I was like, you're killing your own darling right now. You know what I mean? So I guess I'm just saying, it's like it's a trust, but I know that I am vocal. Yeah. But I am always respectful. I always ask my director, can I ask something? Do you mind if I share? Is it going to mess you up right now if I share? and I'll say it out loud to the room, and I also say it. I know my lane. My lane is not quiet though. My lane is like, I am not gonna be like, I need you to walk stage left. That ain't my lane. You know what I mean? But my lane is like, so in this scene, this is actually what that means. That's what they're saying. So when you say that, this is actually what that means, right? Like that is my lane, especially when I'm doing a new play. So I just find people that aren't suckers and don't expect me to be silent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So my name is Edwina. It's
Hi,
very nice to
Edwina.
meet you. I started writing, and my question is, what do you do when you get writer's block on a passion project? Like a script that you were in love with, and it's going, and then you're like, what now? Like, what do you do?
Yeah. I'm going to do a wonderful name drop here. This is a great opportunity for a name drop. So when I was working with Lin-Manuel Miranda, good name drop. Great name, right? It's a good one, right? Lynn and I used to work together, creative arts team, and we've been out in the classes together. Yeah, well, I'm not gonna bring that up, but we've been out, you know, in like elementary schools, you know, like just giving lessons to just. I've been acting with Lynn. I have acted with Lynn Miranda. And I remember we would be talking about the plays we were working on at the time. Mine was my play, Follow Me to Nelly, which was like my first equity-produced play at Premier Stages. And he was working on his show at the time. And you know, his was called, it was about like gentrification, like in the Bronx, and that was in the Heights, right? So, but as he's talking about his show, and I'm talking about mine, and you know, I was like, what do you do with writer's block? You know, like how do you stop editing yourself? And he was like, oh, and he said the most simple thing to me. He was like, oh, you just gotta write your way through it. I was like, that seems, I mean, would they pay you for this? You know what I mean? Like, what is that? You know? And I was like, what does that mean to write your way through it? I just started practicing writing my way through it. I was like, what does that mean? Like you just stop editing yourself, right? Like so part of that, the block is you just gotta write something real bad. You just gotta go through it now and be like, I don't know where this is going, but like, so then here comes Shaquita, you know? And you just gotta just like add some stuff and like just see where you go, you know, and find out where you're really trying to go. You know, and because you have, I just, you know, the hands, for me, the hands at the keyboard, you'd be like, they do have a delete button, so don't worry. You know what I mean? Like, just put the words down, and they might be terrible. You might read it back. I mean, the play I have up right now, I had like a few weeks ago, I was like, I think this is bad. I mean, I went to that with Skeleton Crew real big, and I was like, oh, man. I don't know what I'm writing. I don't know if this even works, you know? And I just had people that was like, just keep going. And I was like, I don't know, they're not getting it. They're not getting it in my writers group, you know? And they're like, just keep going. And I just kept going. And I've never really changed that play. And it's like been one of my most like so-called successful plays, you know? And just write your way through it. You'll figure it out. You'll look back at it. No matter if it's amazing, you're still gonna look back at it and be like, that was awful. What was that? Hi? You know, and then you'll come back and be like, I'm not gonna do no more 2 a.m. writing. That's not the time, you know? And then you'll come back and be like, this is brilliant. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you just gotta give yourself permission to be like, I don't know what I'm doing right now, so just get it out. Also, I will say this. I just basically hustle information from other people's school because I didn't go to school for playwriting. I didn't get a degree in it. But I stole from a lot of my friends' education. So one of my friends went to NYU, and then he went to Juilliard. I didn't get into Juilliard. I tried 3 times, you know? So I was like, fine. What they saying in there? You know? And he's like, you know, Marsha Norman says, you know, when you write a play, you just gotta have a vision, and then you have a vision of the end before you start writing so that you can get yourself out of the block. And I was like, I always have a vision of the end. Thanks, Marsha Norman. I didn't pay for that education. You know what I mean? I mean, listen, I have a friend right now that's at USC. I'm like, you learning some film stuff. All right, give me your notes. I'm gonna read your notes, you know? I have piecemeal my way to honorary PhD. So, you know, and so I just say keep writing your way through it.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, my name is Lori.
Hi.
I feel like I have so many different ideas, and I love writing in different mediums, whether it's playwriting, if it's screenwriting, if it's novel writing, like, it could be YA, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But
Same.
I feel like I have a little bit, not necessarily the opposite of writer's block, but there's so many ideas. I feel like a little kid in a playpen, like there's Legos everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yo, that's a lot of Legos. How instinctually, I guess, or like, when do you decide to put your energy more into one story than the others? Not necessarily all your eggs in one basket, but like when to direct that energy into one place, and how do you pick what story or what few to pay attention to?
I have a queue. It goes into the queue. I'm like, okay, this one's next, and then that one's in line, and then you know what I mean. And then they'll tell me which one's ready first. But the play I have up right now, Signature. It took me 6 years to write that. It just lived in the queue for a long time. The play I just wrote a commission for Manhattan Theater Club. That was a commission from another theater for a while ago. I never gave them that play. And I was like, I don't even think they remember I owed them that play. I'm gonna give it to this one, and that was like 10 years. That was 10 years plus. I've had this idea to write this DJ play forever. Since, before my first, I feel like almost my second professionally produced play. I just know what the hell I was like, it's just gonna live up there for a while till I know what it is. And then this past year, I felt like, I was like, they commissioned me at MTC. I'm gonna do this DJ play. Just wrote it. I wrote it for Ruben. I was like, I'm writing you a part. You're gonna be an old school DJ. Yeah, he's like, all right. I was like, all right, here we go. And I'm just like, and it came to me. I had somebody to write it for, and now I know exactly what to do, But it's just been living up there for a minute. But I wasn't ready to write it because I had no idea what the story was. And when I say I don't know what the story is, it doesn't mean I know the whole story. But it does mean I gotta know, like, okay, so it's these workers at this plant. I wanna write about the factory. I want to write about the factory. What I'm saying? What do I want to say about the factory? I want to write about the factory. Who do I want to say that on? I seen this woman the other day. She an MTA worker, but she reminded me of a factory worker. And she was holding her. She was an OG with these young guys. I want her. I want to see her, I just saw a woman ride a truck the other day. I was like, next play. I want to know what that woman's life is. Or maybe movie. I want to know her, They start coming to me like people. And then when they come to me, like, who I want to hear, who do I want to know in that world, And then it goes, what are they going to be? What's the thing? Like, what's the thing? And sometimes I don't know that until I'm going to play with one scene, I ain't going to keep writing until I know what I'm doing. But I'm like, maybe get one scene out and I'm like, oh, they factory about to close. That's going to be a problem. Now I have a whole play, Because now I just got to deal with that problem for the rest of the play. So it's like when I know I'm ready to write the whole play, it's because I know what the characters are. I know who the characters are, and I know what they're willing to fight or die for. And now I got something. Because that could be chocolate cake. Oh, she really wants some chocolate cake. Okay, obstacle, to get that cake. Then she went to the store and the store was closed. And then, and then she tried to get over here and they had no more, chocolate icing. And then she saw this lady on the street push. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, things are happening now. Things are happening. It's alive, because I know what she wants. And I know how to make it hard for somebody to get what they want, And that's storytelling. That's the fundamental it of storytelling, The imagination is like, it's key, My son right now effed me up this summer because, I was stressed out. I had him at camp in Detroit. He's a California kid. I was like, Detroit gonna teach him some things this summer. And we was, and I was like, I'm stressed out. Like, I think he's getting bullied at camp. I don't know what's happening. I just, and I've shown myself to be one of them mamas that's like, I'm sorry, did you say something to my child? And who's doing something to my kid? Like I was showing up every day, like writing letters to the camp counselor, saying like, what's going on with the camp director? Are you paying attention to these kids, And then eventually, when it was all over, and I saw the moment when my kid saw that I was that mama, Like when he goes, I said, so did something happen? Did somebody say something to you? Did Miss So-and-so say something? And he goes, are you going to beat her up? And I was like, I didn't mean to do that. So I was like, oh no, I think you're manipulating mommy. What's happening? And so there got to be that moment where I'm talking to him after camp. I'm trying to get some things clear that were bothering me during camp. And the more my kid talks, I go, it was you? He's this was you? This was you all along? Because he said something, he goes, yeah, and then this happened, and the end. And I was like, the end? Well, wait, but what do you mean the end? What do you mean the end? Are you telling me a story this whole time? I'm up here about to kill people. And you telling me stories, you know? I was like, I don't know where the truth was. I mean, he was making me and his dad crazy. He was like, and we were like, what is the truth? What do you think is the truth? You know? And it was somewhere in the middle. He's a storyteller. He's a storyteller. And he was like, yeah, Mom. I was like, so does it hurt? He's like, it hurts. And then I went to the thing and the end. And I was like, the end is messing me up. Where is the truth and where is the creativity? You know, but I say all that to say, even at the age of 3, we already know how to tell stories, you know? We already know. We have that. We already know this. You know what I mean? So when you he figured out, Mommy will beat somebody up for me. So I'm going to tell some stories, you know? And I'm like, Mommy will not be beating anybody up. Mommy's writing strongly worded letters. You know, but, you know, so I just feel like the instinct is there and the imagination is there. But when you know what they want, you know how to create an obstacle. That's it. Yeah.
Hi, my name's Tom, and a question I had was, when you get like a story idea, when do you realize what's the right medium for it? Like whether that's, I should make a play, or no, that would be so cool as a movie, or should I maybe make like a TV pilot? And then second question, B, how do you approach it if you're like, all right, this is going to be a really good play, or, I think this could be a really good movie? Does that at all change your approach to writing and telling the story?
Yeah, I know. Like for myself and for other properties out there. Like for instance, there was a moment where I was trying to get I was working with a studio. We were trying to get the rights to Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower, and so we were pitching to her family. I mean, her estate, not her family. Her estate, and the estate. We wanted a TV show, and the estate was they had another bid in, wasn't as strong a pitch as ours, but it was film. And they somehow thought, you know, Octavia Butler always wanted a bestseller, and they had been told, the estate had been told that movies help sell books, not TV. And I was like, that's a terrible idea. And that's not gonna serve the story. The story will be told better on television because it's epic. And in film, we'd have to pick one small journey. But in television, we could make it as epic as the book, you know, like Walking Dead, you know? Like you could make it long, it could live like three or four seasons that I had in my head. And it was a strong pitch. I mean, me and the studio knew it, the director knew, we were like, they making a big mistake. And, you know, I don't know if that movie's gonna ever get made, but if it does, it's not gonna be what the TV show could have been, right? And that's because I know how the scale of it. Whereas, like, there are certain things where I'm like, a film makes sense because it feels like you want to get in this quietness of this world, and stage is not for the quiet, really. It's intimate. Stage can be intimate, but when it's quiet, I think you want to get closer, you know? And so that's why I feel like film helps me travel more through the world and also get more internal. Stage for me is when I want to have a conversation and I want to hear people hash out that conversation in language. I want to use language, you know, as opposed to I love language writing for television and film because it eclipses my language. It gives me it takes all that stuff. My girls say you got I don't know where you went, but then you have all these ideas. It makes you take it and go one thing to cover all of it. What you gonna say? You know, one word, get all of that in there. You know, and so that's what television writing does to me. So it is also language for me there, but it is more other things. It is character. It is like situations. It is like that kind of thing. Whereas film is a journey and it is an internal. To me, the best film that I have seen has been like. The places, the way those places are characters, and also the people, what internal life they have, what struggle we can see that you can only see if you're intimate. That's how I know the difference. Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that was so succinct. We could do one more.
Yeah.
Right?
See how that looked at? That was succinct.
So,
the recent grad crisis.
Yes.
Woo. How do you recommend? Yes. I so crave finding people who are in the industry or still like 2 years ahead of me, who I can find and create a community with, people who I can look to as mentors, people who I can like I'll sweep your floor, just to like sit in the room and watch it happen. How do you recommend getting into those rooms? I know we can send emails and everything, but I really want to build a relationship with meaning. Not like network, I want to find people whose work I connect to and they understand me and I understand them. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah, it does. Service is always the best way, right? So, I mean, you said it. I sweep the floors. I'm not saying you should go up to offer people floor sweeping. But you know what I mean? But like, I built with a community. When I went to when I hadn't written in that year, what opened me up was a now friend of mine, but I went to her, I went to a reading, in Brooklyn. It was in a bar. I mean, it was whatever. It was pubs in London, you know. It was and I was watching this reading, and I was just inspired because she had started this little theater troupe, and they was having out, you know, they were just doing stuff. And I was watching them put this together, and I was like, man, they're just she's just hustling. She's just working. This is cool. And I noticed that she was, that they didn't have programs because I wanted to know people's names. And I was like, I got this office job. Hey, sister, you need some programs for your show next time? I could do that for you for free. Because, I mean, I'm just stealing from a job. So, you know, and so, you know, and that was the first link. I can offer something to you, right? I can be of service to you. Now, everybody doesn't need the service all the time. And I want to say that because if you're talking about me personally, right now I have a young woman who's helping out. She wanted to observe. I do observerships. I don't do apprenticeship or let me be your assistant because I'm oh no, that's a salary I ain't got to give you. So I don't do that. I do observer. If you want to come in, that means you come at your own, you leave at your own, whatever you want to do. You come sit and watch the process. You can come be in the process, right? And so I've done that with a young woman who she just came to my show and, you know, came to Proud back in 2019. She caught a train all the way to DC to try to meet me. I didn't know her at all. But one of my cast members was like, hey, this girl came to meet you and you're not here, but just send you a picture. And I was like, oh, tell her to, you know, DM me. She DM'd me. Followed up with more stuff, and she kept responding, right, you know? And I get a lot of DMs. I get a lot, a whole bunch of us out here in the world do, right? We're all going to get emails. We're all going to get DMs, and I always try to offer light however I can. I'm one person, right? But I'll say this, of meaning you will find alignment. She asked to come observe. I said, come observe. Two people, I got two people observing me. One flew in from Detroit. Okay, come observe. You know, that doesn't cost me anything. And then we're talking, and I'm like, you babysit? You know, my child is here, right? Now she's in my home, babysitting my kid. You know what I mean? And we're just things are naturally happening, right? And it's becoming, we're finding a mentor relationship because it's a two-way street, right? But it just is happening some of it is by osmosis, some of it is by her hustle. She's come at me many times tonight, and all she's asked to do, if she's not giving, then she's also not taking. So she's just saying, can I watch? Right? And I have found that young people that typically assist me, they get imposter syndrome, and then they start feeling like they gotta be useful. And so I start coming to this process, don't do nothing. Don't ask me, can you give me a coffee? Don't do nothing. Just come observe. That's a fair thing to do. And they go, oh, let me start doing this and let me start. I've looked at these notes and I wanted this word that you use in your play. I'm like, oh, no, I don't want no dramaturgy. I just, you come observe, right? You know what I mean? And so that you also have to be cool with just observing, you know? I think that a lot of people will be down for observing, you know? But you just got to say, all I want to do is just sit in the back, take up no space and watch whenever it's okay. Because sometimes the cast needs no people in the room or whatever, right? Sometimes that director, but there are many people that I think are open to observation. And also when amongst your peers, you go, hey, what you trying to do? I could support that. I got something. You know, I know this. I could do that. I'm really good with hair. I got you. You doing a film shoot? Let me help you, right? The helping, the service builds really builds that community. Lin-Manuel, Camila Ford, these are all people that we were just doing. Camila Ford runs the Apollo Theater now. But this is my girl was running a hip hop theater festival that Lynn was trying to get in, you know, back in the day. And you just keep hustling with the same people, you're gonna become different people because it's inevitable. And it's not like, oh, she's bigger than me because she's doing this and I'm doing that. I'm like, bet you work at the Apollo. What we doing at the Apollo? When am I coming to the Apollo? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is, and that's what it is. You know, it's not like this or that. I'm not small because you just got big. You got big, we big. Let's go. Right. You know? And that's what I think is building.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
I have to just
Yeah.
say, I'm already in trouble because I went over.
Yes,
but
yes.
You have been the most amazing guest.
Oh, thank you.
I cannot thank you enough for sharing and just everything. I mean, I've learned so much. And I just want to thank you. And Nick, thank you on behalf.
Yeah.
And we all want to work with you. We are at Stonestreet, we are storytellers. And when everyone kind of comes into this residency right away at the top, that's the first thing we talk about, that we are just storytellers. And I think it's so refreshing to hear from you as such of having all those levels of storytelling. To hear, because we're actors, we're directors, we're writers, and they're kind of just taking off in all these areas. So
Yeah, and I'm gonna be looking for you. One of the reasons I wanted to come is because when I asked, let me talk to the next gen, I think somebody asked me, what do I want to learn from the next gen? I want to talk to the next gen because you are the ones, this is your world and you're gonna be the ones to change it. I want to be in conversation with the people that's gonna change the world. So I'm looking for you to do it. I'll be waiting for you, I'll be watching for you, and I hope that we can have exchange in that process of changing this world. Yeah.
Well, I
Thank
hope
you.
you'll come back.